So today we will discuss about CSS box model. So all HTML elements can be considered as boxes. Okay. So in CSS, this term it is used when talking about usually our design and layout. Whenever we are talking about this thing, design and layout, then comes the concept of your CSS box model. Okay, so CSS box model is essentially a box that wraps around every HTML element. So this is the point where we talk about the CSS box model. So it wraps around every HTML element. It consists of margins, borders, padding, and the actual content. Okay, so we can represent these things in a pictorial view. So if I am telling that this is my content, so then we are concerned about, then comes the padding, then comes the border, and then comes the margin. Okay, so content, padding, border, and margin. So these are the four things. So this total structure is my box model. So now coming to the explanation of different parts of the box model. So we have content. Okay, so content of the box is where here our text and images appear. So this is the place where my text and images will be appearing. Then comes padding. So it clears an area around the content. Okay, and the padding is transparent. Next comes your border. So it goes around the padding and content. So first give the content, then we give the padding. So this one, it goes around padding and content. Next comes the margin. So this clears an area outside the borders. Okay, even the margin is also transparent. Margin is transparent. Okay, so thus the box model as a whole, it allows us to do what? Add border around elements. Here elements means our HTML elements, and define space between the elements. So whenever we are talking about box models, so basically that means we are concerned about these things. Okay. So let me give an example or demonstration of a box model. So here this the just a small code snippet I am writing for um, external CSS file. So I'm mentioning the width, suppose 300 pixel, then suppose border, suppose 15 pixel and solid red. Then suppose I'm giving padding, mention the width, border, padding, and then margin. So when we are using something like this, like we are design in my design, I'm taking care of border, padding, margin, width. Then we are going for the box model. Okay. So width and height of an element. So in order to set width and height of an element correctly in all browsers, we need to know how the box model works. Okay. So width we have mentioned here 300 pixel. Okay. We have mentioned the border, padding and margin. So whenever we are mentioning any width, how it is getting calculated. Okay. So now suppose calculation, we need to have a proper calculation. Okay, this will be my width, how it will be looking, what should be my output, so that we should be knowing. Okay. So if we are making it about 320 pixel, so then the calculation goes like this, 320 pixel, that is my width. Okay, plus 20 pixel, that is my padding. Padding we have written 50 pixels, so it will be 50 pixel, 50 px we have written. So padding here will be actually, it will be 100 pixel. So how it will be, left and right padding. Okay. So border we have written 15, so it will be 30. So it will be including my left plus right border. Okay. And then whatever margin we have written, so margin we have written 20, so it will be 40. It will be again for left and right margin. Okay. So this is how the calculation goes. So total width of an element, width should be calculated like width plus left padding plus right padding plus left border plus right border, and again left margin plus right margin. Okay. So this is how total width is calculated. Okay. Similarly, if when we are going for total height, so that is calculated as height plus top padding plus bottom padding plus top border plus bottom border plus top margin plus bottom margin. Okay, so you need to remember this. You can even analyze, and you can, when you analyze and understand, you can easily remember this formula. No need of mugging it up. So this is how it is calculated. So in box model, we are basically concerned about mainly the height and width of the element, and how they are calculated we have discussed today. Okay, now coming to our CSS outline. So an outline is a line that is drawn around the elements, that is outside the borders, to make the elements stand out. Okay, so in CSS outlines, it is basically line drawn around elements. Okay, specifically outside the borders. So if this is my content, then we have our border, and then we have our outline. Okay, so outline has some properties of its own. Okay, so the properties are outline style, outline color, then we have width, offset, and outline. Okay, now what is the difference between outline and border? These are two things. You must be thinking that they are similar. No, they are different. So unlike borders, the outline is drawn outside the elements border. Okay, this is, here my elements are there, this is the border for the element, and outside the border the outline is drawn. Okay, so the outline is drawn outside the elements border and may overlap other contents. Outline is not a part of elements dimension. The element's total width and height is not affected by the width of the outline. Okay, so I'm just writing the points to be noted is, first is outline is drawn outside the elements border. Okay, it may overlap other contents. and then it is not part of your elements dimension, the element's total width and height is not affected by the width of the outline. So these points you need to understand that. So thus we can say that outline and border, they are two different things. Okay. Now coming to outline style, we have the outline style property, that the first property we have written here. It may have values like dotted, dashed, okay, then it can be solid, double, groove, ridge, inset, outset, none, hidden. So what do we mean by all these? We have already discussed for other styles. We have already had a detailed discussion about all these. Okay, so let's just go through an example. Okay, if I am writing okay, so for first, my output will be just a dotted outline. Okay, for second case, my output will be a dashed line, because we have written here to be a dashed one. So here the outline will be a dashed one. Okay, similarly all these different types will be having different types of outputs. So none of the other outline properties will have any effect unless the outline style property is set. Okay, now coming to CSS text. Okay, so text formatting we can do using CSS. So first is our text color. So the color property is used to set the color of the text. So it is mentioned by your let me write down to set text color. Mentioned by, you can mention it by color name, X value, and RGB value. How to mention all these we have already discussed. Okay, so the default text color for a page is defined in the body selector. So we can set for this example. So H1 will be written in green color. We already have discussion. Just a briefing because we are going through different topics of CSS. Now, similarly, when we are talking about text color and background color. So background color, suppose we are mentioning gray, and color we are mentioning blue. It is telling that in the body background color will be gray, whatever is written will be blue. Okay, and if you are writing H1, we are writing suppose black, and we are giving the color as suppose white. So here in this case, what will happen? For the total body, the background color will be gray, and whatever text is written in the body, by default they will be blue color until unless anywhere else it is specified. So now in the body we will be also writing our heading H1. So H1, wherever H1 is written, its background color will be black typically. That means even if the total body background is gray, but for this heading the background color will be black and the text color will be white. Okay, so that is what the meaning of this statement. So if you want to set a default color for whatever is being written in the body, so we can simply write the color of that text. We can set the color of the text in the body itself. So similarly we can go for your text alignments and all also. Okay, now coming to our CSS fonts. So these font properties, they define the font family, boldness, size, and the style of a text. Okay, so there are two types of font families. One is generic family. So generic family, it's a group of font families with a similar look. Okay, like your serif and monospace, and second is font family. It is a specific font family like Times New Roman or Arial. So those are specific ones. So these are two types of font families in CSS. Okay. Now the font family of a text is set with the font family property. So font family of a text is set with a property, that is my font family property. So we use this property. It should hold several font names as a fallback system. If the browser does not support the first font, it tries the next font and so on. Okay. So so what it will do, we can start with the font you want and end with a generic family, and let the browser pick a similar font in the generic family if no other fonts are available. Okay. So more than one font family is specified, that is by using comma. Okay. We use a comma separated list. So for example, if I am writing Sheriff, so the font family because I'm writing Times New Roman, then Times, then Sheriff. Okay. This is how we can write. Similarly, for monospace, we can write, for example, okay. So we are mentioning different font family and we are separating them by using comma. For commonly used font combinations, there is a set of commonly used font combinations, so that you can find it over net. Next, going to font styles. So it is mostly used to specify the italic text. Okay. So this property can have three values. One is your normal, then italic and oblique. So normal, here the text is shown normally. Okay. Text is shown normally. Here the text, they are in italics, and here in oblique the text is leaning. Okay, similar to italics. We have font weight property also. Okay, it specifies the weight of a font, so it can be normal, bold, so those types of weight we can write. For example, we can write suppose I want a thick one, so in thick we write font weight is bold. Okay, so there is another property, that is font variant. So font variant property specifies whether or not a text should be displayed in a small caps font. So in small caps font, all lowercase letters are converted to uppercase letters. Okay. However, the converted uppercase letters appears in a smaller font size than the original uppercase letters in the text. So for that, for writing that, for using that, the example is, we can write here font variant is normal. Okay, for small, you can write font variant small caps. Okay. Similarly, we have font size, font shorthands, we have those. Now next, coming to CSS icons. So how to add icon and all. Okay. The simplest way to add an icon to your HTML images with an icon library. You can make use of icon library and add them. Okay. So add the name of the specified icon class to any inline element. Okay. Like your eye or span. To any inline element you can add it. So all the icons in the icon libraries are scalable vectors that can be customized with CSS with their size, color, shadow, etc. Okay. Next, coming to our CSS links. So with CSS, links can be styled in different ways. We have already learned what is a link, how to design a link. So in CSS, what we will be learning is, so here link can be styled in different ways. Okay, I can have a text hyperlink like this. I can have a text link here also, and suppose this color is green, I can set it that way. I can have design a link button. Okay, now coming to styling the links. So links can be styled with the CSS properties like color, font family, background, etc. For example, we can write color is suppose pink. Okay. So in addition, links can be styled differently depending on what state they are in. The four link states are so when we are writing a link only, that means a normal unvisited link. So visited means a link a user has already visited. Similarly, hover means a link when the user moves mouse over it. Okay, so user moves mouse over it. Active means a link the moment it is clicked. Okay, so we can like by default they are having their own settings. They have their default settings, but if I want to change the settings, that can be done. Giving an example, for suppose for an unvisited link, we can write it as, we can mark it color to be red instead of its default setting. Similarly, for a visited link, we can mention that the color will be green. Okay, Similarly, for mouse over link, we can mention the color to be pink. So these are randomly I'm writing. Here I just want to show that they have their own default settings. So this visited link, this is for your visited link. This is for this is for your unvisited link. This is for visited link. This is for mouse over link. So all these links, they have their own default settings, but here what I am doing is I am trying to change their colors. That means I am trying to change their default settings. Okay, now for active, I can mention the color to be blue. So this is for your active link. Okay, so when setting the style for several link states, there are some order rules. Okay, so some rules is mouse over link must come after unvisited link. Okay, a hover link must come after and a visited link. This is one rule. The second is okay. So these are the two rules. So accordingly we need to specify. Okay, so for these we can also go for our text decoration. Okay, so these are basically used property. This is mostly used to remove underlines from the links. Okay, so we can write it like, I'm just writing one example. We can write it like, suppose text decoration is none. Okay, or this I can also write as underline. That depends on the use. Similarly, we can go for background color of a link. So it is used to specify a background color for the links. Okay, so using this, we specify the background color of links. For example, I can write for an unvisited link, I can write background color is suppose yellow. Okay, we can write it like that. So here you can see that we are just playing with the color and like look and feel of the links. Similarly for link buttons. Okay, so we know that we can have a button for a link. As a link, we can, a button can be used as a link. So for that, I'm just giving an example. So here what we can do is we can combine several CSS properties to display links as boxes or buttons. So given an example, I can set your background color, suppose it's yellow. Okay, we can mention the color of the text, that is suppose blue. then we can use padding for 14 pixel 25 pixel. Then suppose we can use our text align. So the output will be looking like a button, but actually it's not a button, it's a simple link only. Okay. So when this link is visited, then your mouse over is there, or when it is active, then the background color will change. Okay. So this will give me the output as if it's a button, and the background color will be changing. Only the background color will change for it whenever we bring the mouse over it or it is active. So next video we'll be talking about our CSS list. Thank you for today.